Being a global inspiration to someone in your community or a country where you find yourself and in the world at large does not come with one feat. As they say, Rome wasn't built within a day. You're only welcome to the brand new show of The Changemaker's Voice with me and your Pondinchi. I know it's been ages, but you're only welcome back. And I'm happy to see you once here as you're happy to see me. This is a brand new show we are embarking, a mission we're embarking on to uplift our voice, to encourage young people, to encourage anybody, whether old, young, wherever they find themselves. Most importantly, if they are using their voice to change someone's life within the community they find themselves. My name is Sandio Pondich. Let's take our quote for the week right back. You're only welcome back once again to the Changemaker's Voice show with me and your Pondinchi. It's a new season, a brand new show, and I warmly welcome you. We had an encounter on the campus show where we interviewed young people from various universities, and now we have a new show that's the Changemaker's Voice, inspiring, uplifting our voices to build our environment and our world at large. On the very first episode of the Changemaker's Voice, we are interviewing a man I look up to, not necessarily for him being in the journalism fraternity, but one that gives inspiration to me and many young people. And I believe he also gives inspiration to you wherever you're watching us. Let's go and find out who our guest is on the first episode of the show. We'll come back with more.
Mr. Carruthers Tetteh is the first inspiring law lecturer with visual impairment at the University of Cape Coast. He is a proud native of Winneba in the Efudu constituency in the central region of Ghana. Mr. Tetteh had his undergraduate degree in Bachelor of Education in Arts with English as his major at the same university, UCC, where he successfully bagged first-class honors and was awarded the overall Best Graduating Student with Visual Impairment in 2015. He is a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Ghana as established by law. Mr. Tetteh is an advocate for persons living with disabilities and the underprivileged. Journey with us as we interact with Mr. Carruthers Tetteh.
Our lovely audience, you are warmly welcome back to the Changemaker's Voice. As I said some few minutes ago, there's a mission we're embarking on to uplift our voice, to encourage everybody or anybody doing something inspiring in our communities, in our country that we find ourselves, in the world at large. Remember, you not taking that action won't only affect you as a person, but will affect millions of people. So when you move that step, it really inspire billions of people to be affected and to be inspired. And I guess you know who our guest is here on the first episode of the Changemaker's Voice. That's Mr. Carruthers Tetteh. Mr. Carruthers, you're welcome to the show. 1, 2, 3. Empower your world. You're only welcome to the very first episode of the Changemaker's Voice. As I said, there's a mission we're embarking on to uplift our voices, encourage a lot of people, young people, and either old, poor, wherever they find themselves, are really doing something inspiring. And as I was saying before camera, as we even began, you really inspire a lot of people. I'm not in the legal field, that's how they put it. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm not in the legal field, but you really inspire me with the motivation and other young people, I believe, who is watching us somewhere. So Mr. Carruthers, before we even start this whole thing, God will you bless you.
Amen, and thank you very much for having me. It's a privilege first to be on this episode or this season, and I hope that people will be inspired
Definitely
to come out from their comfort zone. People will be inspired to take that step to make that difference in their community.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
So, Mr. Tetteh, going to the crux of the matter, we want to know you. I'm sure a few of my audience have seen either a video or a report on other TV station or media platforms talking about you. But I want to know you better. I want to say, Mr. Carruthers, who are you? Where do you come from? Where did you grow up with? A few of it to know you better.
All right, thank you very much. So, Carruthers Tetteh is a young, purpose-driven individual who always wants to inspire people and make a difference wherever he finds himself. I'm a proud native of Winneba, Efudu constituency. I wasn't born with this disability. I had it at age 11 when I was moving to class 6 as a result of a drug reaction. So somewhere in 2002, I wasn't feeling well, taken to this clinic facility in Winneba, where I was given some injections. Unfortunately, I was allergic to them, and eventually I had to be transferred to Okonfanochi Hospital. It was there that they realized that I was reacting to the drugs and eventually lost my sight as a result of that. Yeah, so I couldn't continue with the regular schooling, so I had to be taken to the Cropon School for the Blind the following year, 2003. So I continued from class 6, wrote BEC, moved to Okwapaman Senior High School, but I was part of the first batch that started the 4 years program.
Okay.
So 2011, I graduated successfully, came to University of Cape Coast, University of Competitive Choice.
Wow. As they say.
And as it is.
And as it is. This one there, as hard as I am a proud student of University of Media, Arts and Culture, former GIG.
Yes.
As hard as I want to refute that fact, I think it turns out to also be true. As I've come to your campus and I've seen how young people or students are also learning, which also the same thing that we're also trying on campus.
It's true.
Yeah. So you gain admission here in the year
2011.
2011.
I pursued Bachelor of Education in Arts, English and History. I majored in English. By the grace of God, I graduated with a first class 2015 and also the overall best graduating student with visual impairment.
Wow.
And I had the chance to do my national service with the Department of English 2015, 2016.
Still on campus?
Yes, as a teaching assistant.
Okay.
Then the following year, 2016, I gained admission to come back to the institution, UCC, to pursue LLB, which is Bachelor of Laws. 2019, by the grace of God, I also graduated with a first class. Then I wrote the entrance exams 2019. My first attempt, I couldn't make it.
Wow.
Yes, I couldn't make it. Now you can imagine a first class student, first degree, first class student, second degree in law, you write an entrance exams and you fail. You can imagine how heartbreaking that would be.
Mr. Tetteh, not cutting you short,
Yes,
the conversation is starting to get interesting, which I'm sure my audience are also following. But let me take you back a bit. When the incident happened to you, which is unfortunate that it has to be you. But as they say, everything happens for a reason.
Who should it have been?
Yeah, but everything happens for a reason, which I believe now you have come to accept the fact. But when it happened at that time, how did you feel? I believe you were young at that time. But whatever it is, how was the feeling like? What was it like? And some of the criticisms that you experienced and other stuff.
Yes, age 10, 11, host, very young. I didn't really appreciate what was happening. But I will state that my family was very supportive. I felt it was just a normal sickness. I've gone to the hospital, I'm not fine, and I can't see. And we were receiving treatment. So as a kid, I knew that one day it was going to get better. So I didn't really feel much pain. Just as I said, I thought it was just a normal condition which I was going to survive or come out very soon. But you see, because I had a very supportive family, the encouragement from my family, encouragement from the church, I didn't really
which churches?
Northgate Baptist Church.
Northgate Baptist Church. Okay.
Yeah, Baptist Church in Winneba. Very, very supportive. So I didn't really feel or see it as a misfortune. And one thing is, whenever you find yourself in a situation, whether good or bad, I feel it depends on how you see that challenge, how you perceive it. It is your perception that will make it a negative one or a positive situation. So though I lost my sight, with the assistance of my family and church, I didn't really see it as a negative challenge. It was a challenge, a positive one. I needed to work towards to overcome it. And by the grace of God, here I am today. Though blind, I'm a lawyer with first class degrees and masters. I'm a lawyer and a first law lecturer with the University of Cape Coast. So it depends on how you see or perceive the challenge. That is whether that challenge will become an obstacle or not.
And not contradicting the positivity
Yes,
that
yes,
you
yes, yes.
exude when it happened.
Yes.
But we live in a world where when things happen, and even pertaining putting your age into consideration,
Yes.
you were young
I was.
and you had lived life, let me say, from 5 years ago, you realized you could see, you do other things, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, at age 10 or 11, this happened to you.
Yes.
You are still young though, but it's like you have moved from one world
To the
to another
it is
world.
true.
Exactly.
It
So
is
you
true.
bringing in the positivity, how were you able to correlate that and to be able to put negativity as, I know fine, you haven't lived life to
Yes.
kind of experience what positive or negative is. But at that age,
It was.
yeah, you moved from a total
Let me
like,
look at you. You see, and I'll still come back to the family point. My late grandfather would always say that life is how you make it.
okay.
And I had that at the back of my mind, though I was very young. Life is how you make it, and situations are not permanent.
Wow.
Age 10, age 11, I was a football player
Wow.
back at University Primary School in Winneba, North Campus. I was part of the football team, we would play. But when it happened like that, I couldn't participate. I couldn't go out with friends. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't play TV games, always in the room. But life, I knew, was how you make it. And some way, somehow, as I said, the support of the family, I knew
Yeah.
that despite the fact that I was blind, there was something, or there is something positive I can create out of the situation. There's something positive I could create out of the situation. Looking at the strength, looking at the resources available, looking at the opportunities that will come my way. And I was ready to capitalize on those opportunities. I was ready to capitalize on the strength I had, which includes the support from my family and the intrinsic motivation. Not, I did not want to see myself as a blind man on the street begging. And in order to avoid that, the only option was not to give up, but to keep working, to keep learning, to keep encouraging myself, to keep listening to motivations, to keep talking to people who affect me positively. And I would always say that I always had a dream man in my mind's brain, my third eye. There is this person I've imagined, or I did imagine 20 years ago, a blind man who is a lawyer, granting interview like today, in court defending people. And that was the kind of person I wanted to be. So I wake up every morning and I imagine this person. So though I was young, I had this imagery,
And
and I was
you,
always working towards becoming like that person in my third eye.
and today, by the grace of God, you
Yes, we are
find
living it.
yourself
Yes.
living that dream. And I'm sure in your previous submission, you have tapped on a few of them. But could you let us know some of the challenges you encountered when this thing began, from the
Yes.
time it began till
Began
now, some of the
now.
challenges you have encountered? I'm sure you experience stigmatization.
Oh yes,
If you can
it's part.
capitalize on it as
Okay,
part of the challenge,
certainly,
also.
certainly. Unfortunately, in our part of the world, when you have a disability, in fact, the environment will make your disability worse. You have double disability
I can
because
imagine.
the environment is not conducive, including the physical environment and the social environment is not conducive. One major challenge is discrimination and stigmatization. More often than not, people would want to make their own judgment without giving you the opportunity. So sometimes you believe that you have the capability, you have the qualities, but because you have a disability, you will not even be given the opportunity.
Yeah.
They may think they are doing good, but not knowing they are rather blocking your opportunities. That is one major challenge. And discrimination, yes, stigmatization. Some people will tend to call you names. Of course, you have a disability, you are visually impaired, but the way they will try to describe the disability
Yeah.
in a way as if it's a contagious, infectious disease, something so nasty, and obviously it will kill your spirit. And anything that kills your spirit is very dangerous, and that was one of the challenges. Again, relationship, it extends to relationship, and you may meet someone you think you can build a future with. Sometimes the other person on the person on the other side also has the interest, but the family, because of your disability, will try to discourage. You
And
know,
not to necessarily come or agree to take that journey
yes,
with
yes.
you.
I will share an experience with you where on campus I needed assistance to move to my lecture hall, and I met someone, one of the students, and I asked the student to assist me. Could you imagine the student held the tip of my finger
Wow.
as if he didn't want to come so close because he thought it was
It's a
infectious.
he.
It was a he.
Right. Right. And
It was a he.
before you continue, when behind cameras you were
Yes,
trying
yes.
to get ready, the gentleman who was helping you
Yes.
to come to the
You are
office,
held,
the way he has
yes,
held
yes,
you,
yes, because
I
he's my
mean,
student and at
yeah.
least he knows.
No,
So
but even if you are not a student, at
yes,
least you are in the same campus. So how
yes,
can
yes.
you?
That is the unfortunate aspect, lack of knowledge.
Wow.
People are just ignorant. People feel you are blind and it's a curse. People feel you have a disability and it is a punishment you are facing for a wrong you did, or a family member did. So lack of knowledge, ignorance, that is what makes people sometimes behave in that particular direction.
Wow. This is very sad to
Yeah.
write home about. But moving on, want to find out. Have you always wanted? You said in the previous submission that you could look into your third eye and look at how you are today by the grace of God as you
Yeah.
are seeing yourself.
Yeah.
But have you always wanted to become a lawyer? And when did that aspiration start for you?
Truth be told, I always wanted to be in a position to affect lives positively. So initially, as a sighted person, I wanted to become a medical doctor
Okay.
because I felt being a doctor, you will be touching lives directly. People come with their conditions, sickness, diseases, and you help cure and they'll be fine.
Yeah.
That is what I wanted to do. And when I lost my sight, I realized I couldn't pursue this dream. But still, I wanted to be in a similar position to directly help people.
Okay.
So one day I was listening to, I heard this story on Peace FM, a lady who was raped and couldn't get justice because of the financial constraints the family had. And I felt, no, this shouldn't happen. This shouldn't happen. So that sparked the interest to go into law, to advocate for the less privileged, to be the voice of the voiceless, and also to put out the message that despite your disability,
Yeah.
you can still achieve any dream. You
Yeah.
can go wherever you want to go and be wherever you want to be or become in future.
I see. That's very good. And I must say, you are really touching lives outside of the legal fraternity. You are touching lives, and then when you come into it, I'm sure you're also doing a lot. Now, coming down to the law fraternity or what you are doing as a lawyer and maybe a lecturer, you just told us what pushed you into being a lawyer. Who are you looking up? Was there someone you're looking up to? If not in the legal fraternity or anything, but was there someone you're looking up to, or was there someone you were tapping inspiration to keep fighting amidst these hurdles of stigmatization and other stuff?
I think every lawyer I met was an inspiration, and I wanted to be like any good lawyer I heard or saw on TV or heard on radio. But I would use this opportunity to appreciate my mentor, Benedict Bosu Simpson. He really inspired me a lot with Roseford Advocate.
Okay.
But that's where I currently practice in Winneba. And he gave me the opportunity. I remember when I started working with him, when I became a law student and I started having my internship with him, he would give me work and I'll complain that this is too much. And I said, yes, that is part of it. You have to. And I realized that it was good I went through that exercise. And I thanked him so much. He believed in my capability. He gave me the opportunity. And I'm always grateful to him. So he's one super mentor and a role model I look up to. And I want to be more than him.
More than him. I don't think it's it's something about the negative to aspire to become more than someone. I think Mr. Benedict Simpson, as your Bossy Simpson, who admit the fact, or will even be happy to see his protege grow up to also become good. So I don't see anything wrong with it. Wanting to, if you have a calm and a pure mind, in the sense of not being jealous of him or anything, good. But there's nothing wrong with being more than him. And you also understand from where he said that.
In fact, that is what he always tells us.
Exactly.
Is that I know you want to be like me, but I want you to be more than me. That is what he will always tell us at the firm.
Yeah.
Because he's always proud when we come back from court reporting to him that, oh, this is how we went about. Oh, brilliant. I mean, it never crossed my mind, and you've been smart to come up with this. So obviously, he really believes in what he says, and he's always proud to see us following in footsteps.
That's Mr. Tetteh, pursuing or embarking on this law project, as I must call it, that you are doing. What are you specializing in? What law aspects are you specializing in?
So, for now, I think I'm exposed to all fields.
Okay.
I'm exposed to all fields, being it criminal, being it immovable or land, being it family law or human rights, disability. But I think my interest is more into the human right, where I feel we all deserve some form of fairness of justice. So it can be land, but if I feel your right is you are being so if someone is trying to take advantage because maybe you don't have the financial means, or because they feel they are too powerful, I feel that is some form of abuse, and those are the cases I would want to willingly step in and advocate and push for the right of the victim.
Okay, so yours is the human advocating human rights.
Human rights.
I see. And moving on, someone who has passed through the mill, as I must say, who is a first class law holder or and from UCC, and also a lecturer and also a lawyer. What do you make of the performance of our law schools in the country, from where you sit as a lecturer and a lawyer?
As a lecturer. Okay, as a very young lecturer and a long time student, I think our faculties are doing well. Now we have about 11, 12 law faculties in Ghana, and they're all doing well. We have lots more lecturers coming on board. We have lots more individuals expressing interest, applying to the law faculties. Now, we shouldn't miss the point that law and becoming a lawyer is a profession, it's a calling.
Okay.
It is not just for the fashion or for the fun of it or just for status. You become a lawyer and there is onus on you, to be able to defend and push for the rights of persons. So it is not just going to law school and becoming a lawyer, but the faculty should be able to ensure that we're able to achieve the dream. That at the end of the day, after going through the ranks of education, you should be in a position to really prove your worth. The second issue is, as it stands now, there's only one school that you can obtain the professional course, which is Ghana School of Law in Makola.
Sure.
I'm looking forward to the day where it will be decentralized. We have a lot of law faculties across the country. But as it stands now, the whole of Western region, Central region, Eastern region, Volta region, Northern region, Upper West, Upper East, there isn't any law school. But we have people in the northern regions, Western, Central, who would have interest to pursue law, who may have gone to a law faculty to pursue LLB. I'm looking forward to the day where at least we'll have more branches. It will be decentralized for people to actually achieve their dreams of becoming professional lawyers.
Okay, so what it says, or the status quo, if I may put it in the country, is that you can only become a lawyer through Mokola.
That is it, Ghana School of Law in Makola.
Wow.
Yes. Okay. But they have their campuses, one campus in Kumasi and UPSHS, and I think Gimpa.
Okay.
but it is the central or the centralized system is in Makola.
Makola. Okay. Mr. Tetteh, moving on, and I want to find out with a particular thing, but before that, let me create a basis on finding
Sure,
out.
sure.
When you're growing up, you made mention of the inspiration support or inspirational support given by your family and your church.
Yeah.
How was life like in terms of financial aspect? Someone will say, "Did you come from a good family?"
Very
And
rich
others will have a school of thoughts that he has achieved this height because
Very
their
not from a
parents or
rich
family
family.
are rich. That's why he didn't have any difficult thing and all that. From where it set as a lawyer and a lecturer that a lot of people look up to you, how was life like in growing up? Specifically putting importance of financial aspect that I'm sure even those that are not visually impaired are going through. What of those that are visually impaired? So in general, how was life like in growing up in terms of financial aspect? Was everything cool? Did you get everything on a silver platter?
I did not get everything and anything on silver platter. With all humility, I don't come from a very rich home, a moderate home, a moderate family that every family member contributes to the well-being of the other person. My dad is a factory worker. My mom is a housewife. So auntie support, uncle support, cousins support, and friends support. So it is not the case that I come from a very rich home and it is because of that that I've gotten this far. Not at all.
So you won't put it on that.
No,
Sure.
no, no.
With the foundation or the basis established, you want to now find out, is there scholarship for visually impaired persons or in general persons living with disability?
Well, so the scholarships available are for all students. So get fund, whether you have a disability or not, you can apply. Scholarship Secretariat, whether you have a disability or not, you can apply, or GMPC fund. So these scholarship platforms are there for all students. But let me make this advocacy that I know they are doing it, but we can more room for improvement. We should create more slots for persons with disabilities who apply to get fund. More slots for persons with disability who apply to scholarship secretariat. These are government funding for Ghanaian citizens. And I believe that, and as I said, having a disability is a challenge on its own.
Yeah.
Going through the system to become somebody meaningful, to contribute to your community is also a challenge. So we should be able to create the enabling environment. So making scholarship very, very accessible. In fact, the disability law provides that education must and should be free for all persons with disability at all levels.
Sure.
Now we know senior high school education is free, is a government policy for all students who go to SHS. But when you come to the university, how many families are willing and ready to support a person with disability to go through the university? If the person is not well educated, that a person with disability can really contribute positively, it will be difficult for them to spend on that person with disability to go through the ranks of education at the tertiary level. But if government makes education free for persons with disability at the tertiary level, I think we'll be experiencing good successes. We'll be here, yes, there will be a lot of testimony. So I'm seriously and strongly advocating that tertiary education should be free for persons living with disability.
So that's what you're advocating for.
That is what
Tertiary
I'm
education as well should be free.
free for persons living
But
with
it's okay
disability.
with disability.
Yes. I mean, we are not too many that government
Exactly.
cannot
It will put a
absorb.
burden on government.
No, not at all. And look at the statistics. If you fail to educate persons with disability to go through the ranks of education, they will end up on the streets and they will become burden to you and I and the society and the country, which will not speak well of us. So instead of leaving them on the street to become beggars and burden on their families and communities, why don't you rather create the enabling environment for them to have that access? Secondly, unemployment. Now, having gone through the pain of becoming, an independent person, you've gone through the ranks of education. Now you would have to struggle to gain employment, which I think is also very bad as it stands now. I think there should be an automatic absorption of persons with disability into the employment or into yes into our workspace
Yeah.
and to our workplace. Again, the number is not too huge that government cannot take persons with disability in teaching or those who want to go into AG. We should be able to create that system where when you graduate and you qualify, you should just be absorbed into the system. You should just be absorbed into the system. At least if you are without a disability, you can find your ways and means of at least earning some money on daily basis. But it becomes very difficult for you, the person with disability. So I believe strongly that we should put in immediately a system where we can right away absorb people who graduate from the tertiary education.
Yeah, sure. So I'm strongly hoping that this plea from Mr. Carruthers Tetteh will go a long way, or his plea will be heard by the government to also make tertiary education free for persons living with disability, so that it doesn't become a burden, or they don't become a burden to the society that or in the country that we live in. You're also watching the Changemaker's Voice with me and your Lichi on your online TV, and we're having not just a conversation but an inspirational conversation with Mr. Carruthers Tetteh, the first law lecturer with visual impairment.
Yes.
So, moving on, I want to find out with the 1992 Constitution of our country.
Yeah.
Do you think the laws in the 1992 Constitution are fully applicable in Ghana as a democratic country? From what it says,
The provisions in the 92 Constitution. I think as a country we've done so well. How many years now from 93 when it was promulgated to date? I think we are doing well, but of course, always there's more room for improvement.
Sure.
There's more room for improvement. Right to education, have we fully implemented that provision in the Constitution? Right to liberty, have we fully implemented that? Disability right or the right of the disabled, have we fully implemented that? And other provisions. So I think that we've done well as a country. This is the Constitution that has held us together and keeps holding us together as a country, ensuring that there's smooth transition from one government to the other. But I believe that institutions that are set up must be well equipped to carry out their mandate as provided for in the Constitution. And when we're able to do that, we'll really enjoy the fruit of the provisions in the Constitution.
I see. So, time is not on our side. Bringing this interview to a close, I also want to find out from you, last 2 or 3 questions. What advice would you give to someone or a person living with disability in regard to achieving his or her dream, as you have done here, as we are seeing? What advice, if you get the opportunity to meet any person living with disability, what advice would you give to the person?
Don't always wait for the opportunity to come. Sometimes you have to chase the opportunity. Sometimes you have to create the opportunity for yourself. God has blessed us with a lot of abilities. The fact that you have lost an ability does not make you a disabled person. You just have a disability. There are other abilities available that you can really capitalize on to become the person who you really want to be. So I think we should be encouraged. We should encourage ourselves, despite the fact that we have a disability. It doesn't mean that is the end of the world. Disability, they say, is not inability. So let's keep giving out our best, and the best will always surely come to us.
Sure. So, giving out our best, we also want to find out from you, what quality should an individual possess in becoming not just a lawyer, but a professional and a prominent one like yourself? What should one possess?
Tenacity, discipline, consistency. That is what I was saying.
That's what you say. And then with tenacity, discipline, and consistency, I was having a conversation with a friend and we were talking about how one lady wasn't called to the bar despite her achievements and her hard work, but with the kind of appearance she put on social media, peers and all that. I don't know that you have come up with this. You have come across that story. Not putting
I
focus
only
on
want to
them,
comment.
good, but in general, what do you make of people's appearance and with making it to your law profession as well?
Shakespeare said, "The apparel proclaims the man." The appearance is very important. Sometimes you may not be, or you may not. I mean, the way you appear may not really be what you want to put out there.
Okay.
So your appearance really speaks much of you. You may not utter any word, but the way you appear. And appearance is not just the clothes you put on. I mean, how you carry yourself, how you conduct yourself. Your appearance is very important. So we just have to be mindful. We should be mindful how we appear wherever we find ourselves, the conduct we put up, the utterances we make. It's all part of appearance and it's very important. It may have a long lasting negative effect or positive effect. So we should be mindful.
Sure. Since Mr. Tetteh does he also want to delve into that topic, I would also not delve much into it. So my last question, I believe, what is there a union that fights for the right or protection or even
Right.
achievement or whatever it is for visually impaired
Oh yes,
persons?
yes.
If you can let us.
Ghana Blind Union. We have Ghana Blind Union. We have Ghana Federation of the Disabled and others that advocate for the rights of persons with disability, that ensure that policies that are made by government are implemented. So they are associations.
So I think we are done for the interview. Your last words, and that's your camera. I want also to look straight to your camera to also advise our people.
Life is how you make it. Do not allow yourselves to be limited by people's fear. It is normal for people to have fears whenever you want to take an initiative, but do not allow yourselves to be discouraged or be limited by their fears. Believe in yourself, believe in your dream, go for it.
So guys, as you have heard it all from Mr. Carruthers, Tetteh, the first law lecturer with visual impairment, as he has also encouraged us and advised us. We have gotten to the Empower Your Voice segment. This is a time on the show where we listen to anybody around the world for inspiration. Let's go and watch this video. I will come back with more. Don't go anywhere. Hello, you're warmly welcome to the Changemaker's Voice with me and your Pondinchi, and we have gotten to your Voice and Power segment. And on this very first episode of your Voice and Power segment, I want to talk to you personally as a colleague, as a friend, as a brother, as a sister, and as a loved one. The topic we are discussing or we are looking at is the power of your words. I strongly believe that our words are light and spirit, and they go a long way to come into being and materialize into whatever they want or we want them to become. Whatever you aspire to become, put them into action or speak them into action, as they say. It might not come abruptly or immediately when you say it, but when you keep saying, confessing, proclaiming with your mouth, one way or the other, that thing will materialize. But not forgetting putting your action to the peak of whatever you do and putting the grace of God and the will of God on your side. As I leave, I want to leave you with one quote. The paradigm of service is the act of building up proteges to become a better version of themselves in actualizing their potential and purpose in life, in changing the world. Another quote is, if you ever think of changing the world, go for it, because no one is ever going to give you the chance. You have the power to change the world if only you take it up and be the global change maker you want to see in the world, because you're extraordinary. And that is what I'm telling you on the first episode of the Change Maker's Voice, that you are extraordinary. You're a global change maker. Go out there and impact into the world through yourself with the words you speak. My name once again is Andy Pondenchi. Let's enjoy the show. Family, welcome back to the Changemakers Voice with me and your Pondinchi, where we are embarking on a mission to uplift our voice necessarily or with young people, older people, wherever they find themselves in their community, creating change in their community. Where we have gotten to is the Change Makers Fun Time. This is a time we have fun with our interviewee and find out how smart, how and put a bit of tricky question up to them, and most importantly, we learn on the show. We won't say anything. When we come back, we'll find out how smart Mr. Carruthers is. Don't go anywhere. You are warmly welcome back to the Change Makers show with me and your Pondinchi on your online TV. And this is the Change Makers show where we embark on a mission to uplift our voices and empower our world. This is the Change Makers Fun Time. And the rule of the game, or the game you are coming to play today, is there are, if I may put, a couple of crumpled papers having questions on it, which I must believe that a lot of young people out there would want to ask Mr. Carruthers such a question. So Mr. Carruthers Tetteh will pick one, and then we'll ask him that question, and then he would answer it to us. Mr. Carruthers, are you ready to play the game?
Of course.
Yeah, so the game is, I'm having crumpled papers here. You pick one, and then
Okay.
we ask a question. So,
Yeah.
okay, so I think exactly. The game is, we are asking, what advice would you give to your 25 years old self, and why that advice?
What advice will I give to my 25
Exactly.
years?
If you were to go back in time, or if you have a 25-year-old person standing.
Don't rush into relationships.
Mr. Carruthers, please say it again. My audience wants to really
Yes,
hear
I
it
said
well.
25 years. Don't be in a rush to enter into a relationship.
I see.
Yes.
Is that the only thing you want to touch on?
That is key, because around that age, the fire is on, the blood is hot,
I tell
and
you.
you want a companion. So any first feelings you get from a lady, you think, this is my Eve, let me go for it. But I think the advice is just take your time and make sure you know the one you want to take as your partner. The Bible says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. If you don't find a good wife, you find a bad thing. That is very one. And I think spiritual life too is very important. Very young, you are eager, you are done with school, eager to get a job, but keep praying and develop your spiritual life. Yeah.
I see. Wow. So guys, this one is not coming from me. It's coming from Mr. Carruthers Tetteh himself. Do not rush into relationships. So I guess the first episode of the Changemakers Voice, the fun segment time, you expecting something vibrant or vibrating in the kind of having fun. Mr. Carruthers puts us on the spot by advising us not to rush into relationship, but most importantly, be mindful about our spiritual life in growing them. That's what we have for you on the Changemakers Fun Time. When we come back, we will have more for you. Don't go anywhere. You're only welcome back to the Changemakers Voice show with me and your Pondinchi on your online TV. And I'm sure you are still giggling from where you are seated watching this interview from the submission Mr. Carruthers Tetteh gave on the question we asked him. But whatever it is, we can't dispute that fact. If you rush into it, you definitely fall.
You'll crash.
You'll crash and then get a bad partner that I'm sure you don't want to get to.
After 2 years, they will come to lawyers for divorce.
I tell you. So this is what we have. Before we move on and bring this interactive and inspirational conversation to a close, the question we have for you is that how can we improve or make the lives of persons with disability in the country a welcoming one. As Mr. Carruthers made mention in his submission based on the question I asked him, the community itself makes it burden for them to even have or experience what they are facing something else. So you out there watching us, wherever you find yourself, as you are without any disability, what other improvement or how can we improve upon persons living with disability in the country? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section below, as we don't only or will not only improve the lives of persons living with disability in the country, but will move a step further to create an enabling environment for them and build our world. For more and further information, log on to our website www.andiopon.com and watch other episodes and other interesting videos on our YouTube page and Andiopon Online TV. And till then, let's meet next week for another interactive conversation and inspire ourselves. Next week, that's coming 7th of April, is World Health Day. Let's meet and have a conversation about our health living. My name is Andiopon. Meet you soon. Bye bye.